Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and we're joined by the returning horror icon of The Hills Have Eyes, The Devil's Rejects, One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, not a horror movie, but a spirit movie, and Derek of Shed of the Dead, which comes out tomorrow the 17th, Michael Berryman. It's very cool to have you back.
Oh, thank you. It's good to be back.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed Shed of the Dead. It's a really fun movie, and it's original, and so how did you get involved in Shed of the Dead?
I'll be more involved tomorrow when I get a chance to see it. I fly down to Los Angeles and go to a premiere screening. I got involved with it through my manager, Judy Fox, and I had a phone call, and we put together a contract, and I got on a plane, and I flew to the location, and they said, "Here's what you're wearing, here's the scene, and let's shoot it." So pretty much just show up and work.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of pre-planning on my part. It was just like, all right, I can pay some bills.
Yeah. So you haven't seen the finished movie yet? I got you.
No, I've seen a little this, a little that. I was in and out in one day, so all I've seen is what's been online.
All right, cool. Well, I hope you dig it. I was going to ask you about because the opening scene's very cool. The animated sequence for the title sequence and stuff. So I think you're in for a movie. Good movie.
Yeah, it's the premise is nerdy, and it's honest to the situation. So you have fun with it.
Yeah. So I had earlier talked to Kane, Hodder, and Bill Moseley, and they both brought up your scene where you're a horse and your costume you're wearing. Kane was sorry he wasn't there for that. So what was it like when you put on that the attire?
It was a surprising debate scene, and I wish I hadn't done it.
Oh, really? You wish you didn't do the scene?
Well, I thought it was. Look, people know me. I've been doing this for 40 years. I'm a straight talking guy. Mm-hmm. And bottom line is, I thought we didn't really have much time to discuss the scene, come up with options, and they're on a tight schedule. So, it was like we got to get this scene done, and I told the director, I says, we can do this, we won't do that, and let's proceed. So
yeah. So do you think if you would add more? I'm sorry to interrupt you. If you thought if you had more time, you would have liked to change the scene.
Of course.
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah.
How about even before you get to that, you're also wearing you get to see in a wig in a different attire than normal. That was fun to see. What did you think of that part of the movie?
Well, the guy's kind of, probably an executive with some quirks. I've worn wigs before, most notably in Motley Crue's "Smoking in the Boys' Room" video, which was just delightfully humorous and charming, and it's fun to play against type, so to speak, and that was the wardrobe, so that's what you go with.
Yeah. So when I mentioned you're coming back on, actually, Terry Gunther brought up the Motley Crue video. He said, "How cool was it to be in those Motley Crue videos?" Well,
I actually wrote a whole chapter on it in my autobiography. It's about two-thirds of the way done. And it kind of went like this. I got a phone call from my agent. It was an older agent. He'd been in Hollywood for a long time. Very respected. His name was Lou Deucer. He had like the, charming Earl Flynn kind of mustache, whitish, grayish hair. Kind of okay, kid, you got a gig. Now, he said gig, which was means a job, which sounded pretty funny coming from him. But he was a pretty savvy guy. He was a good negotiator. And I said, okay, where am I going? Who am I working for? And what's the contract? And he said, told me the contract, and he says you're going to go to this auditorium, and there's some kids there, and here's the premise, and you're this principal, and I think you'll have a lot of fun. And I said, well, what music video is it for? And he said, oh, it's for a band called Motley Crue. And I said, what? I said, maybe it's Motley Crue. That sounds about right. You go have a good time. And off I went. So I called a friend of mine he was a very, he's been around for a long time. He is a film historian and has wonderful archives. And I said, hey, Johnny, I'm going to go on a Saturday morning, and we're going to go out to the Valley and go to this auditorium, and we're going to film a music video with Motley Crue. And I think I need a designated driver because I'm a responsible adult. And he said, you got it. So he was my driver. And, we arrived, and there was, it was a big auditorium, and there was a stage and curtains, and there's all the kids, playing the students. They were all getting prepared, and hair, makeup, and wardrobe, and then they brought me back up stage behind the curtain which is like the green room hangout out area, and there was the band. I met the band, and they were super nice, very cordial, just delightful, very professional. We had, I think we had 2 galvanized, like you'd feed a horse, a bucket, a big galvanized circular tub. There was 2 or 3 of those. They're filled with ice, and probably a couple cases of Corona beer, and probably, 4 or 5 quart bottles of Jack Daniels. And so I said, well, I'm a responsible adult. I have a designated driver, and I'm going to sit here and relax with the guys. And they were, Mick was a big fan of The Hills Have Eyes, and, Vince, of course, lived on the beach, and he loved surfing. He grew up in Santa Monica, Dogtown, that's what we used to call it, right next to Venice Beach. And so I used to surf and scuba dive for years, and we just started talking about life in Southern California, and we were talking about how wonderful it is to be able to have a career in the arts, especially in rock and roll, and to make it to the level they were at. And they were humble about that. I mean, they worked their ass off. They're very talented. They're just likable guys. They told me I think Mickey told me that, anytime they have an argument, Mick is the one that kicks everybody's ass and keeps them in line. And they were just a lot of fun. We became friends. I did a second video with them, and in between that time, I would occasionally call Mick to ask him how he was doing he had an issue with his wrist or his hand. I think he needed either some physical therapy or some surgery. He was concerned about, playing guitar down the line, and he healed up real well, and no pretense, just rock and roll. That's the zip code. So you're going to have fun and be a little crazy once in a while. But I'm not a tell-all kind of guy. I've been to a lot of situations where people go, "Oh, that'd be a great story. You got to tell that." And I go, "No, some things are personal, some things are private." And for me, it's about the work, it's about the art, it's about making friends, and it's about entertainment. So that's if you don't set guidelines, other people will set them for you.
Mm-hmm. So when is the book coming out? I said you're 3/4 of the way done. When do you foresee it coming out?
I'm thinking around Thanksgiving I'll have it all done. I've got it registered with the Writers Guild of America, and I just got my paperwork from the Library of Congress, so it's protected, and I'll submit my final papers, because I think I sent in 80 pages, and further down the line. And publishing is a weird situation. I mean, you have to have so many words, 400,000 words or 300 so many pages. I'm kind of old school. I'm 70 years old. I kind of believe like David Scow, who wrote the screenplay for The Crow. He had a nice piece on his website today, just talking about the quality of the work. I think that matters more than being a bean counter.
Definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, What's the experience been like to go back and think of all these stories and everything you've done in your career?
Well, it's the book actually starts from my birth and all the way up and to the time I got discovered by George Powell. I was really on my way to Homestead in Alaska and work with nature conservation and habitat preservation for the animals before they become killed and have their heads put on a wall or run into extinction, that kind of stuff. Those kinds of things are really important to me. Having a future for our children and our grandchildren, I think, is our responsibility. I don't like. Well, the book is about me, yes, but it's also about humanity, and we're all in this together. So that's the theme. So I think around Thanksgiving, I should have it at the publisher, and by that point, we should have a contract and know who's actually going to print it. But it's time. Everybody gets a book.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Alice Cooper's book, Golf Monster, is a very good autobiography. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it.
All right.
He's a really nice guy. He told me that he needed a healthier addiction because alcohol wasn't working for him too well, and he got turned on to golf, and he didn't. So if you have an addicted personality, like a healthy addiction, it's okay if it won't kill you.
Yeah. Well, myself, I've lost almost 98 pounds, so almost 100 pounds. So I've been. Thank you very much since November. So. My doctors were very surprised I've done so well so quick, but I found I really enjoy walking, and I like to cook. But I cook, nice, healthy stuff now. So,
I do too. Because people say diet, restrict calories. I studied nutrition back in college, and always did weight training and stayed in good shape. And if you cut it, if you can taste food, that's a plus, and if you can enjoy the texture and there's certain things I won't eat, of course, like veal, foie gras. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm a big supporter of non-factory farms. Smaller is better. I shop local up here in California, Northern California. But just as an example of eating healthy, I usually keep about 3 large bowls of a dish, so you can mix and match. And like I have, I got garbanzo bean salad with artichoke hearts and sun-dried tomatoes and green olives and feta cheese. And then I have another dish. I made some caramelized sweet onion with lots of garlic and added quartered Brussels sprouts, and then deglazed them with some balsamic vinegar, and that's in another bowl. And then I made a chili, So I could eat and get full, and it's delicious, and it's healthy.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff at the store, I walk by and I go, that costs more than a steak. And it's
right.
And it's bad for you.
Yeah.
Bad things in it.
Yeah,
so
that's what
congratulations on that. I mean, you reduced your body weight by an entire person.
Yeah, and I feel the best I've ever had. Probably maybe since I was like a teenager or something. But I just turned 43. But I feel fantastic. And it also not only helps you physically, but it helps you mentally when you get into some healthy. Yeah. So, since would you say you had a pleasant experience making the movie, or was it not a good experience for you?
Oh, everybody was delightful. We had a good time. The gal that played the dominatrix, she's a well-known actress, and everybody was. It was fine. The role was just something I would never repeat, but what are you going to do? Like I said, I made a few adjustments to make it less less demeaning. And I said, no, we're not doing that. We can do this, and I'll give you that, and that's how it goes. So
yeah.
So So I hope the movie does well. I mean, I hope, as up-and-coming director with a wonderful family history and lineage. I hope it does great box office. So we're going to go down tomorrow and be there for the premiere. Do some, shaking hands and do some photo ops, and hope it takes off. Because out of 100 scripts, maybe one gets made. So
right.
Kudos.
Yeah.
Kudos.
Yeah. I had fun watching. Do you mind if I ask a few questions? Because people sent some in when I mentioned you were coming on.
Absolutely.
Adrian wants to know, you were once a guest on Morton Downey Jr. How crazy was the show, and how was Mr. Downey Jr. to you?
It was a very well produced episode of a show. Mr. Downey actually went into the green room and one-on-one with each guest, and kind of laid out the structure of the show. And there was that one lady on the panel that thought that anyone who did a horror movie should be incarcerated and put in prison because she had some personal losses in her life, and so this type of portrayal of violence, irregardless of it's setting up for the hero to conquer the perpetrator, so to speak. She felt that if someone went to a horror movie and then did a copycat crime, that everyone involved in the film should go to prison. And I said, well, that tells me that you've suffered a severe loss and pain, and let's talk about that. But during the show, Moore wanted the attack and counter conversation. He wanted that ping pong game going back and forth between concepts to be entertaining. He wanted a little bit of a shouting back and forth, but I thought it was very well produced. He was super professional, and at the end of the show, she kind of went up to us and said, "I see things a little differently." So overall, it was very enjoyable, and he was a lovely professional gentleman to work with.
Mm-hmm. Wesley, he just wants to let you know that he's a big fan of yours for years, and watching the trailer of Hills Have Eyes at the drive-in with his folks scared the hell out of him as a little kid. And he wants to know who are your favorite directors or actors in either film or television to work with?
Well, first of all, thank you for your shout-out, brother. I think that's so cool you went with your folks, and especially a drive-in. I mean, I love the drive-in. I actually went to a drive-in with Peter Locke, Wes Craven, and Barry Kahn, my producer, writer, and director. And they had me dressed as Pluto, and during the trailer attack, they said, "Why don't you go out and bang on some car windows, scare people?" Chuckle, 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 ha, 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 won't this be funny? It was funny until a really big guy got out of his out of his car with a baseball bat and started coming at me, screaming at the top of his lungs, You just scared my girlfriend. I'm going to smash your head in with this baseball bat." And all I had was the Pluto knife, but it was the prop knife, and I had a rubber knife, and I go, I was not expecting this. So I was running through the parking lot trying to find the van that we were in, and I was just a little disoriented and couldn't quite find it, but thank God Peter Locke was behind the wheel. He turned on the headlights, pulled forward, the side door opened. Wes Craven was holding on with one hand and extended his other hand to me and yelled, "Get in!" And I did so as we hauled ass out of there, went to a diner, had coffee and piece of pie, and didn't speak much until we all agreed that we had a hit on our hands. So that being said, my favorite, my favorite projects to work on were The Crow with Brandon Lee, mm-hmm. Highway to Heaven with Michael Landon, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest working with Milos and Jack and making a lot of new friends and learning the craft of camera and how production comes together. That was 127 days for me. Working on even silly movies, The X-Files, a wonderful episode I had been in a relationship for about 6 years. There was a mother and kids, and there was somebody else involved in the family that caused some terrible grief. I'll leave that to your imagination. And it was sort of a sad separation, but the role of Owen Jarvis as a guardian angel, sacrificing himself to save the life of a child, resonated with me because it gave me an opportunity to heal. Sometimes in life, certain things happen, and there's no closure. And I was very grateful that out of 100 people that casting will see, they pick one. And when I walked in, I saw Chris Carter and I'm thinking David Nutter, my director, and I told them that there's a lot of talented people waiting to be seen, but I'll give it the justice that the role deserves, and I'm going to show you why right now. And I nailed it. And then they said, well, when you exit, please don't let anybody know you got the part, because we want to see what they can bring to the table for maybe a subsequent role. So I did. So that was quite wonderful. Some of my favorite directors. Well, I got to work with Claude Lelouch in a James Caan film. And I'm also a big fan of the Universal, horror movies.
Yeah.
They kind of set the stage for wonderful entertainment. And a nice shout out to a very dear friend, Red Skelton. I used to go to the house, and I was in school with his son, a beautiful gentleman. Yeah, Red Skelton. Yeah.
Well, that's very cool. Nice.
Oh, and I got to meet Rod Serling one night.
Oh, really? That's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you watched the new Twilight Zone?
I've watched a few of them. Good production value. Writing's good. Acting's good. But there's so much to watch right now. It's hard to see everything. I think it's pretty darn cool.
John Dugan of Texas Chainsaw Massacre wants to know what was it like being on location for Cuckoo's Nest?
Love you, John. John, we keep in touch online, and we see each other in shows. I'm glad he's doing much better.
Me too.
Cuckoo's Nest was my second job. I'd worked one day. I was Taft-Hartley, which gave me a 2-day guarantee of work, so I got into the union. George Powell discovered me when I was in Venice Beach. We did Doc Savage together, and he was my producer. And then his casting director was casting for Cuckoo's Nest. Just as I was getting ready to homestead in Alaska and leave Southern California, I got a phone call, and I went to a meeting with Michael Douglas, Saul Zaentz, Milos Forman, Jack Nicholson, and Louise Fletcher. And went to Oregon. We had 2 weeks of rehearsal with for major scenes with camera. Started to learn things a lot. My makeup artist for the lobotomy scars, 6 days, 6 mornings every week, was Fred Phillips, who was the created Spock's ears. His father started the makeup artists union. He was my mentor every morning. I'd spend an hour in his chair, and he would talk about what the industry is about. A lot of his stories. The best advice I ever got for as a working actor was from Milos Forman when one day I asked him, what does the camera do? What do I need to know as an actor to help you? And he had me look through the eyepiece, and I could see that, oh, wow, and I racked focus and tried a few things. And he handed me a book on cinematography, and he said, stand in front of the camera. I go, okay. And he said, I want you to have a love affair with the glass. So for all the wannabe actors out there, anybody involved with photography, get to know what an f-stop is. Get to know what different lenses can do. Understand how to hit your marks. Practice staring in the mirror, looking at your face. Empty all emotion, add thoughts and emotions, and without moving a muscle, you can see a difference. Those are the nuances. It's just a scratch of the surface of what the art of acting can be. And then next time you watch a movie or Big Bang or anything that you watch and enjoy, know that every time the camera changes from a different position, that could be an hour separation between what looks like continuously as 5 seconds later, now the camera's on somebody else. No, that could be an hour or even a day in separation. So, oh wow, how do they manage to keep that focus? And that's another part of being a professional actor. I've been on sets where people showed up, and I'm talking about actors that had won Oscars, didn't know their lines. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. In The Lords of Salem, we filmed all the scenes of the witches being, crucified, set on fire, blah, blah, blah. Well, they weren't wearing much clothing. It was at night. It was cold. They were freezing. I mean, most of the footage that they shot was never used, simply because when the Pilgrims showed up with the arrest warrants, and Sid Haig and I are the butchers, and we're supposed to help them arrest them, we arrive where there's the little bonfires, campfires, where we come up to the witches. And the guy in the pilgrim hat, one of the actors, holds up the arrest warrant, and here's what we hear at about 9 o'clock at night. Rob Zombie, can you make the torches brighter? I can't read the arrest warrant. Cut. Go to our trailer. We sit for an hour and a half. Rob comes in and goes, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that they couldn't see that well. And it was 3 pages of dialogue in the script, which explains why, in a previous scene which we never filmed, when they come to the Magnus brothers' house, because we're butchers and we can chop up witches, or butchers, we chop up meat. We never shot that scene. So it was never explained, fully why they were being arrested. And Rob told me that if he had known that they couldn't see that well, he would have given them glasses that were prescription lenses and in frames that were period pieced to the time period that we were conveying. And I told Rob, no. They're professionals. They know better. They were scripted lines. If you don't know your lines, then you are supposed to tell production before you go to work that you're having difficulty memorizing. I know many famous people who can't memorize anything in just cue cards. But they look great on screen. I won't mention any names. They're very professional. They do excellent performances. So they did not convey that to Rob. And I told Rob, I said, no. I said, technically, they're in breach of contract. You could sue them for a reshoot. And then the production company, I think it was Lionsgate, would not give Rob another day of filming to get those 3 pages of script down, so the movie had more continuity. No, forget it. Go on, move on. We don't need that. Well, I'm sorry, but your actresses were freezing and shivering for 3 hours for nothing. So, I might be barking my horn. Bottom line is, we are in a union. We are brothers and sisters. We are artists and performers, and we're professionals. I was on a set of a TV show called Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, which was filmed in Canada. And when you have children on the set, you are not allowed to do certain things that would be irresponsible. Oh, we had a guy named Milton Berle was a guest on the episode. He was the most foul-mouthed person in front of parents and children in a foreign country on a set. And the director was pulling his hair out because he wouldn't behave himself. And I said, what's the matter? He says, if I'd known he was this way, I never would have hired him. But he's famous. I go, so what? I said, I know some personal stories about Mr. Burrow. I won't mention it to you, but all I have to do is say 2 words to him, and he'll behave himself. Oh, God, would you please? So I did, and I introduced myself, and he goes, who the hell are you? I says, I'm working here with you. Yeah, so what? Then I conveyed a story to him, and I said 2 words, and he goes, ah, and he stormed off the set, went into his trailer. Of course, he came back to do the following scenes. At least he was out of earshot and not in front of parents and young children saying words that are completely inappropriate, you see. So we look out for one another. If you don't do that, then do a different job.
Yeah, and like you said, for Lords of Salem, that it doesn't just mess up their part; it messed up everyone's time, and it resulted, in scenes not even being in the film.
Well, I mean, the entity hanging on the wall. Sherry's got a nice ass. Okay, great, but I'm glad you're putting your wife in a movie. And she's charming and sweet. But I still think Lords of Salem is the best film he's ever done.
Yeah,
he's a likable guy. I just don't understand some of the. He did one with Udo, the little person with the little Nazi Hitler mustache one. I tried to watch
31.
That mine.
I wasn't a fan. Yeah, I wasn't a fan either.
I mean, if you're 14 years old, maybe that would get your rocks off. But I'm sorry. I like to have some dignity when I get done with working. Tell a story, make it work.
Yeah, I actually do think Lords of Salem is his most underrated movie. I liked it, but I was not a big fan of 31 either. Yeah. All right, well, let's see. I think we went over most of the other questions that people sent in, but I want to thank everyone who sent stuff in. That was nice of them. And I'm looking forward to your book, and it would be cool to have you back after the book comes out or before it comes out, and we can talk about it.
We can do that. It's very honest. I don't share every little sort of detail that a lot of people do in their autobiographies. Some things are personal. Doesn't mean they're wacky or weird. It just means it's a life journey from a young boy whose father was a Navy surgeon attached to the 3rd Marine Division in the South Pacific during World War II. And my father went on a secret mission to Hiroshima after they dropped the bomb. And he sent pictures home of walls where you could see vaporized human beings, civilians that were no longer skin and bone and flesh, but vaporized, atomized, embedded into concrete walls. As you can tell, I'm not a big fan of war. If you want a war, you take the leaders of the countries, you put them in a cage, and let them go at it. I don't know anybody that wants to go to war. If that's your rah-rah, go see a couple movies like Johnny Get Your Gun. And if you think that gets your rocks up, then you need to see a psychiatrist. Blessed are the peacemakers. Okay, I have a lot of friends who've been in the military and civilian service, police, etc., search and rescue. I was a volunteer diver for a while when I was in college. My point is, we take care. If everybody went to bed with a full stomach and didn't have to sleep with one eye open, that would be a great start.
And, I agree with you.
And it can be done. We are handing over a world to our children and our grandchildren, and may they be merciful when they discuss the choices that we made for the quote gift that we gave them of no future. We are in perilous times, in my opinion. And we only have 2 generations, in my opinion, to get things straight. Because I've met the people that want Armageddon. I will not mention names. They're powerful, they're dangerous, they're scary. So we need to not support them. But like I say, one of my favorite movies of all time is a Joe Dante film with John Goodman, and it's called Matinee.
That's a great movie, yeah.
It's a great movie because
Mm-hmm.
it talks about humanity and what's really important.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that and Parenthood are two excellent, excellent movies. You know, so and then finish it off with Doc Hollywood.
Yeah, that's a good
Life
movie.
is to be. Well, we were given a gift,
Mm-hmm.
a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful planet, and it's going to be. I mean, the biggest. I see scary movies, so it takes my mind off what's going on on a day-to-day because I lose
Mm-hmm.
sleep over that.
Yeah.
When children go to school and they study, all the great animals, they're all going to be dead in their lifetime. All the tigers will be gone, all the elephants are being annihilated, all the great beasts, whales, the entire planet is in peril, and nobody seems to care. So on that note, I say, talk truthfully to youth because they get to fix it. I meet kids and they go, oh, wow, blah, 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 this and that. And I go, I know, your parents think I'm something special and they're getting an autograph and, you know, getting a picture. But I want your autograph. And I go, why? I said, because your generation's smarter than the one before you. And your generation are going to be the heroes of the world because you're going to fix all the things grown-ups forgot about. And they look at you like, try that next time you see a kid. And they'll look at you with ancient wisdom, and then you'll know that they're an old soul.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not fair. It's not fair to put it all on them. You need to support them. And the way you do that is by stepping up and doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Very well said. Well, I always appreciate you coming on. It's always interesting to talk to you. You know, whether talk about your movies or something more important. It's not that your movies aren't important, but I always enjoy it and look forward to checking out your book.
You betcha, brother. It's raining here in Northern California, so yay.
It's very sunny here, and I'm in Massachusetts. I'm on the other coast. I'm on Cape Cod. Very sunny out.
Oh,
so I think,
yeah. Shout out to Chowder Land.
Exactly. Yes, the clam chowder. Yeah.
Hey, is it blue crab season yet?
I'm not positive actually. My uncle used to be a big who passed away last year, but he was the big fisherman in the family. And when I was a little kid, we'd go get lobster and go squidding and all sorts of things. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but squidding sounds wrong.
It is an odd term. It is. Yeah.
That is an odd term.
Yeah.
Well, big shout out to all my friends on the East Coast, and yeah, if you ever get a chance to do blue crab when it's in season, it's a real treat.
All right. Yeah, I used to catch crab with my uncle, but I think we just I'm not sure what kind they were. I think they were just little ones we would use for bait to catch bigger things, but I don't think we remember. Yeah.
Like you do. All right, brother. Have a lovely day, and to all my fans, I want to say thank you for going to my Facebook page. Thank you for all your support and your letters, and we'll see you in the movies.
Very good. I can't eat popcorn, but bring the popcorn. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Congratulations on the pinning.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. Stay with it.
Yep. All right. I will. Bye.